All right. Looks like we're getting started. Cool. All right. Hey guys, my name's Tony Angelini, and this is the first in a series of lives that I'm doing. Doing it live because I want it to be imperfect. So this probably started out imperfect because I'm using the Riverside FM software, Riverside.fm, to go live. And I'm in my kitchen, not in my studio. I'm using my Blue Yeti microphone and not my good microphone because, again, this is imperfect. And in that theme, it's important that it's imperfect. It's going along with the theme of the grand plan, which is that it is an imperfect plan because no plan is perfect. And if you think it is, then you don't allow room to react to what you have learned that you've taken. You don't allow room to tweak it. So, imperfection. Identifying your ideal lifestyle. This is video 1. And I gotta say, I got my notes right here. So if you see me look at my notes, this is a lecture. Okay? So forgive me. Identifying your ideal lifestyle. Guys, it's gotta be fun. It's got to be fun to identify your purpose, your lifestyle. I don't use the word purpose. I'll tell you why another time, but it's the lifestyle that you want to live. It's got to be fun. And when I say fun, I mean fuck, it's got to be balls to the walls, full goose bozo fun. Okay? It should be exciting. If it's not fun, if it's not exciting, then you're doing something wrong. I got to tell you. This is about deciding on how you want to live and then finally figuring out how you're going to get there. You know, it's about creating the goal. And any plan has an objective, and then it has the things you need to do to achieve that objective. That's what the grand plan is all about, and that's what this video, this week is all about. It's about identifying that objective. If it's not fun, you're doing it wrong. So we're going to make a wish list. We're going to make a letter to Santa Claus, only you're mailing it to yourself, baby. Okay, that was hokey. I said it was imperfect. Your ideal lifestyle is about living authentically. Authentically, that's it. Living your own life, not somebody else's. Because when you compare yourself to somebody else, it's only going to bring bad feelings about yourself. It's only going to bring misery. Don't compare to other people. It's about living your own life, custom made for you, who you are, the things you know, who you are as a person, your values, your why, etc. Also, it's not about living the life you imagine you should live or living the life you imagine other people think you should live. It's not about that at all. No judgment. Living the way living the way you imagine somebody else thinks you should live, that's making them the dictator. That's making them the king of your life. You're the king of your life. You're the queen of your life. I'm the king of Tony. I've been doing this program. And I am the king of Tony, and I get to choose the way I want to live based on what I know about myself. And it's got to be fun. Now, this plan, by the way, I want to tell you I'm a member of Impact Theory University, and a lot of the principles I tell you about, I learned from Tom Bilyeu as a student in Impact Theory University. So if you don't know about Impact Theory University, I don't work for them. I'm just a student. But I would suggest looking them up, or at least watching Tom Bilyeu's Impact Theory podcast on YouTube or on podcasts. Okay, that's the commercial for them. Here's how I'm going to start. I'm going to start with a quote. We don't have a soul. We don't have a soul. The rest of the quote is, we are a soul. We have a body temporarily. Don't know who said that, but we don't have a subconscious. We are a subconscious. You might say the soul and the subconscious are the same thing. You might not. That's not for this topic. The point is, we don't have one. We are one. We have a body. Does that make sense? This is life. This is life, and you're only here for a bit. And everybody says life's a journey, right? But it's not. Life's not a journey. Come on. Alan Watts said that life is not a journey. Life is not a journey like everybody says it is. The purpose of a journey is to get to the destination. Now you can enjoy the sights along the way. You can stop and smell the roses, but stopping and smelling the roses is not the objective of the task. The task is the journey. The objective of the task is to get to the end of the journey. And smelling the roses is always going to be a lesser goal. Alan Watts compares life with a symphony. Now, if life was a journey, you go to the symphony, then the objective is to get to the end. The symphony's going to start at the last 16 bars. Well, they'll play the last 16 bars. Oh, it was brilliant. We got to the end. Brilliant. That's not the point of a symphony. The symphony is to enjoy every moment of the music. Be present in every moment of the music along the way, from beginning to end. Have you ever been to a symphony or a rock concert? You know what I'm talking about. Well, that's what life is like. I believe that's what life is for. To be present and enjoy every moment, from moment to moment. That doesn't mean it's bad to look at the future or bad to learn from the past. We have these capabilities because for a reason, right? We were given these capabilities for a reason, and so we want to use that superpower. Can a dog or an animal imagine what the future might be like and decide what to do to create that future? I don't know. I doubt it. It's probably one of our superpowers as a human. And so it's good, as long as we don't dwell in the future to the detriment of enjoying the present moment. As long as we don't haunt the past to the detriment of enjoying the present moment, right? Okay. So you want to enjoy every moment, but that doesn't mean life is a party. To choose happiness in your ideal lifestyle isn't, I got to advise you, it's not going to satisfy. It's like eating candy for dinner. The real meal is about fulfillment. Fulfillment lasts, and it satisfies, and it keeps you going. And fulfillment is an infinite game. The point of an infinite game, as Simon Sinek explains in his book, Infinite Games, the point of an infinite game is to stay in the game and keep playing. That's it. Happiness is an emotion, and therefore it's ephemeral. Seek ephemeral, not ephemeral, ephemeral. I told you this is imperfect. Seek fulfillment instead, okay? Write that down. Seek fulfillment instead. Fulfillment it's like relationships. A relationship is not a finite game. A football game is a finite game because it has a clear idea of the ending. But a relationship is an infinite game. It's something you want to stay in and keep nurturing for the most part. Some relationships are finite games, but I won't get into that. Now, Tom Bilyeu taught me, I'm a student at ITU. He'll teach you that Mother Nature incentivizes us to live long enough to care for our offspring long enough for them to have offspring. And this is how our species survives. We don't just want to have offspring, but we want to care for them long enough for them to have. So we want to live long enough to have grandchildren, basically. And remember, so Mother Nature rewards us neurologically and biologically and physiologically to do the hard things we need to survive. And throughout the course, remember, we evolved, and throughout the course of history, most of the time, it was more likely that we would be underfed and die and attacked than more likely to be underfed than it is likely to be fed, right? In other words, just only in the last very blink of an eye has this phenomenon where more people in the world are more likely to be overfed than underfed. That's crazy. That's the first time that's ever happened in history. So Mother Nature rewards us for, we have evolved to be rewarded neurologically and physiologically for doing the hard things to survive on the tundra and on the savanna and running away from saber-toothed tigers and hunting. And Mother Nature has designed us to release brain chemicals that motivate us to do what we need to do. And the brain chemicals makes us feel good when we do them. We're wired to feel good about ourselves when we do the hard things we have to towards a clear goal. Like I said, hunting, or bringing food back to the community, or making clothes out of animal skins, or creating shelter to house food over the winter months, or living a nomad lifestyle where you pick up everything and travel based on the season and then travel back. And even that is arduous. Mother Nature even rewards us for doing things that are good for a community, that are good for for humanity, to a bigger community, bigger than yourself. And we're rewarded because, of course, we evolved, to live in communities because there are the species is stronger and survives when we live together, because we're more likely for the community to survive, right? So Mother Nature is tricky. So the question is, what does all this have to do with finding your ideal lifestyle? Because, once you understand your ideal lifestyle, then you can enjoy the hard things that will get you from where you are to where you want to be. So if this is your ideal lifestyle, you can't help but look at where you are. And then you can make plans to how to get there from where you are. And those will be some hard things. But because you have a clear goal, remember my game case study in my prior video. If you didn't see it, go look at it. We get pleasure out of a game is fun because it's hard. If it were not hard, it wouldn't be any fun. Well, it's the same thing. We get pleasure out of doing hard things towards a specific goal. So you want to choose your ideal lifestyle. You don't discover it, you choose it. But you don't choose it. It's not random. You have to be self-aware enough to understand your personal values and your personal why. But the first step in deciding on your ideal lifestyle is to take ownership of your life. And what does taking ownership of your life mean? What do I mean by that? In order to explain that, it's kind of complicated, in my opinion. Let me start by saying there's a difference, taking ownership of your life. There's a difference between being at fault and taking responsibility for something. Let's say you're in your car, you're at a stoplight, you're not moving at all, minding your own business, somebody rear ends you. Now, in the U.S., in the eyes of the law, that person is at fault. And therefore, in the eyes of the law, that person is responsible for fixing the damage. that person is responsible for making you whole. But what if that person runs off before you have a chance to identify who that person is? What if the police can never find that person? Then who's responsible for making you whole? You are. You're responsible for fixing the damage on the car. And that's just life. Life is unjust. You are going to be a victim. I hate to use that word, victim, but you're going to suffer injustices. But the responsibility to fixing the injustices, or at least healing from those injustices, that responsibility is all on you. Now, that responsibility is just making sure it happens. For example, if the guy doesn't run off, then it's your responsibility. It's ability to heal yourself, to fix the situation. But you may decide, I'm going to let this person fix my car. And that's what I choose to do. Taking ownership is making that decision. Taking ownership is making decisions, creating intentions. So yeah, sorry. Life is that. It's your life says, no matter what the law says, life says it's your responsibility. And you're fulfilling your responsibility by saying, I'm deciding to let the law work in this case and have this person fix my car, right? Taking ownership of your life is realizing that the responsibility is always yours, whether it's your fault or not. Your partner runs away, your partner cheats on you, runs away. That person just hurt you very probably. I don't know you, but probably just hurt you very much, right? Or somebody says something nasty to you. I mean, they're at fault for hurting you. But what are you going to do? It's your responsibility to heal, right? To get better from that, to come back from that. They're not going to do it. So you can choose. You can decide you're going to stay angry. You can decide you're going to slide into bitterness. Or you can decide that you're going to heal and that you're going to change the meaning that you derive from the event that took place. It's your responsibility. But taking ownership is making the decision. Another aspect of taking ownership of your life is seeing what you might do to soften the blow of unforeseen things that happen. Remember, bad thing is something that moves you further away from your goals. A good thing is something that moves you closer to your goals, or at least helps you move closer to your goals more efficiently. I'll tell you a story. Not too long ago, I have a Jeep. I love my Jeep Wrangler. It's a 2011. Not too long ago, it was in my driveway overnight, and somebody broke in. Somebody stole my license plates. Okay, that's not my fault at all, right? That's not my fault. But so I called the police and reported it, and then I called the DMV because COVID restrictions. So I called them to say, what do I need to do to get new license? My license plates were stolen. And they said, this is what you need to do. And she's typing and looking at my case, and she says, oh, but you know what? You can't get your license plates. You have a flag on your whatever account, on your record, because you didn't pay your personal property taxes. I didn't pay my personal property taxes. So the county that I live in put a flag on my account and said, don't let him do anything until he pays his personal property tax. Where I live, you have to pay a personal property tax for your vehicle. And not only that, but where you used to live, you didn't pay your personal property tax, and that county put a stop. So you got to pay all of these taxes before you can replace your tags. I'm like, oh, great. Well, all right. The old Tony would have said, God, I'm such a loser. I didn't pay my taxes. It's just like me. But instead, what I did was I made a plan to earn the money to pay all my taxes and to get my tags. And it took about a month and a half, but I finally I finally did what I need to do to get my tags because I need my car because my car moves me closer to my goals. And, you know, I knew what my goal was, and I was able to detach myself from any judgment because the judgment wouldn't have done me any good in order to recognize what I need to do, to move closer to my goals, which is to get my license tag back, which is pay my county taxes, which is to work the plan, right? Now, I told you that story to tell you the following. If you're really in the game of moving closer to your goals, I thought, well, you know what could I have done beforehand, to make this, like I said, soften the blow? Well, first of all, I could have done what I was supposed to do and paid my taxes. Not paying my taxes was an ineffective strategy, right? And the other thing is, if I had an emergency fund, that would have gone a long way to speeding up the process of me getting my tags back. So, yeah, I mean, is it really wrong that I don't have an emergency fund or didn't at the time? No, but it made me realize after all these years, it made me realize, yeah, you need to make that a priority because it's going to help you move closer to your goals. And the way it does that is it's going to help you recover from the unforeseen bad things that happen to you. Right? Suddenly clicked in my head. Now it's fun. Now putting money away is fun. So I'm going through my notes right now. Now that's a real world example. And like I said, it's kind of embarrassing. But taking ownership of my life is making decisions based on whether something moves me closer to my goals or further away from my goals. One more thing about taking ownership, and then I'll move on. Shit happens. Shit's going to happen. I might get struck by lightning. Has anybody ever gotten stuck by lightning? Anyway, I might get struck by lightning, right? Nobody would blame me for getting struck by lightning. Nobody would blame anybody except for Ben Franklin, right? You might blame Ben Franklin for getting hit by lightning, but anybody else, you wouldn't blame them, right? So how can you take ownership of something like that? Well, you can actually go through some extreme measures to make sure you're never hit by lightning, or if you are, you're insulated, wearing rubber soles. I don't know what you could do, but there are probably some elaborate things you could do. You can decide to take preventative measures, or you can say to yourself, getting hit by lightning is pretty rare, probably have more likelihood to win the lottery, right? So I am going to decide not to worry about it. I'm going to decide to take that risk. Whether you decide to do something about it or whether you decide to take the risk, they're both taking ownership. Taking ownership is making the decision. That's what taking ownership is, right? Because it's going to move, for example, in the example of getting hit by lightning, it's probably going to move you closer to your goals more effectively if you decide not to worry about something that's a zillion to one odds, whatever the odds are. All right, here are the steps to identifying your ideal lifestyle. Now, which is the first step of achieving your ideal lifestyle? Step 1, you have to take ownership of your life. 2, get a growth mindset. Your mindset is your set of beliefs about what's possible in the universe. Read Carol Dweck's book, Mindset. Tom Bilyeu says that your mindset is your set of beliefs around what you are capable of. Real quick, a growth mindset is one that says, I can learn anything as long as I put in the effort. I can learn to play the violin, for example. Or I could learn new skills like how to code a website or how to edit a book. I can learn any new skill I set my mind to, as long as I'm willing to do the work to obtain that skill. That's a growth mindset, and that is a step in identifying your ideal lifestyle, okay? I said that was number 2, but number 2, next, I'll just say next, make a list of your values. Do you have an actual list of your values? You need to have a list of your values. There's something powerful in making a list. Choose your values or discover them. I personally think that I don't care whether you choose them or discover them. You're only going to choose values that you value anyway, so to me, it's a moot point. But choose your values based on what's authentic to you. Now, I define values as characteristics that you want to bring to your actions. So, for example, let's say you value kindness. Okay, so you go about your day and you're doing some work and somebody comes into your office or whatever and interrupts your work. They need help. If you value kindness, you can bring that characteristic. Taking ownership is deciding whether to help that person right now and stop what you're doing, or apologizing and explaining to the person that you really can't stop right now. You might even decide, can we talk later about this? That's taking ownership. Adding kindness to that action is kindly telling them, yes, let's talk about this right now. It's obviously upsetting you. Or kindly explaining to them, I can't do it right now. Can we talk later? You're bringing kindness to that action, okay? Another value might be self-reliance. Let's take the example of my license plate. So I value self-reliance, so I want to bring that characteristic to the actions that I'm taking towards getting a new license plate, right? I could borrow money from a friend, but I value self-reliance, so I want to earn the money myself. Does that make sense? Make a list of your values. Don't choose values that you think you should have. Only write down those things that you actually do authentically value, whether you judge it or not. Hey, if you value being a millionaire, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not selfish. So also watch out for writing down values that you imagine other people think you should have. Screw that. You're not going to show this list to anybody. You're not doing yourself any favors by putting that down on the list. Write down a list of your values. Next, understand your why, your mission in life, your just cause. If you don't know what that is, this video is that is out of the scope of this talk. But I highly recommend you going on YouTube, looking up Simon Sinek, and searching on Simon Sinek Start With Why. He did a TED Talk. Get you right through it. He also has a wonderful book if you want to learn more. I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek. Okay, next step. Understand the difference between focusing on what you want as opposed to focusing on what you don't want. For example, you might want to sleep the whole night. Another way to say that is, I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night. You can say, I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night, but your reticular activation system in your brain is going to pay attention to waking up at night, and therefore you're more likely to make that happen because you're focusing on not waking up. Instead, focus on sleeping the whole night through. Your RAS is going to focus on things that will help that become a reality. And it's a semantic difference. It's a subtle difference, but do that. Try to avoid saying, For example, in your ideal lifestyle, you might say, I don't want to ever worry about paying my bills. That's great, but suddenly you're going to focus on worrying about not paying your bills, or worrying about paying your bills, as opposed to, I want to make sure I have enough money to pay my bills every month. Then you're focusing on what you want and not what you don't want. Cool? Cool, cool. Next step, understand your personality. Now I have some questions I want you to ask. It's a PDF. I'll include the link to download the PDF so you can ask yourself those questions. The exercise, and I'll explain that later, but these questions are from things I've read and things I've learned in my own life as 25 years as a professional artist in the theater, sound designer. And a lot of them were based on something this whole course is based on. The reason I mentioned ITU is because they have a course on how to find clarity in your life regarding your goals. And I took that course and it was wonderful. But I took that and that is informing this whole course about how to identify your ideal lifestyle and such. And so a lot of those questions are from that course. If you're interested, you should become a student at ITU and sign up for that course. It's not bad. It's pretty good. All right, the next step after understanding your personality is to dream. Dream without judgment about how you want to live. And when you dream about how you want to live, let's say, oh gee, I want to have a house on a big piece of land near a body of water. Or gee, I want to write plays, or I want to write books. Or, gee, I want to be a painter. And when you dream, pay attention to how you feel about that thing when you visualize yourself living that. Pay attention to how you feel. Because your soul, your subconscious, talks to you, but it can't use words. It's below words. It's more fundamental than words. Your subconscious speaks to you in feelings. So if you're visualizing something and you're feeling calm or other good feelings like appreciation, gratitude, love, joy, that's a good indication that that thing is probably part of your ideal lifestyle. If you experience, conversely, if you experience stress, fear, well, not fear. Don't pay attention to fear, because fear is a different thing. But if you experience stress or some kind of discognizance, or at least, I made that word up. Is it a word? I make a lot of words up. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, if you experience something that's incongruent with your authentic self, if you experience feelings like that when you visualize something as part of your lifestyle, those bad feelings are an indication that that's maybe not part of your ideal lifestyle. Remember, feelings are the way your subconscious communicates with you. Therefore, they're ephemeral by nature. Okay, here's your homework. Finally, close to the end. Are you still with me? Your homework for the next 7 days, answer every question on the PDF. By the way, it's also a blog post. The questions are a blog post. You could download them there at my website at www.creativemindset.org. All one word, www.creativemindset.org. Or if you're not sure, you can email me at info@creativemindset.org. I'll try to put that link below. Look at the questions. Take 5 or 10 minutes to answer each and every question every day. Don't think about it too much. Your first thoughts are what we're looking for. Then over the course of the entire week, we can start to identify trends, and those trends are what we are looking for. Any, things that you may have answered over and over, or new things, it's the trends that we're looking for that's going to give you insight. And so if you just do it once, that's not gonna, that's gonna be imperfect. So we do it again, that'll be less imperfect, right? Okay? Once you dream, I'd love to hear about your dreams. You can put it in the comments, or you can email me directly. I would love to hear what you have on your mind and what you dream about your ideal lifestyle. Remember, when you dream, don't think about, oh, that'll never happen, so I'm not even going to think about that. Screw that. Trust me. Just put it down. Whether we don't know how that's going to happen yet. That comes later in this course. But if you say that's never going to happen, so you're not going to plan on it, then you're just living somebody else's life, or you're preventing yourself from living your ideal lifestyle. Don't cut something out just because you don't know how you're going to achieve it, or it seems insurmountable now. Have some confidence that you can come up with some creative solutions, and I'll walk you through it. All right? Thank you for joining this live. There are, I guess, 5 more to go, 4 more to go, or as many as, that's an imperfect estimation too. I'm going to make these lives until I'm done. Thanks, man.